Okay, thank you everybody, and welcome to this very special video we put together here for you. My name is Sanjeev Verk, and I have the privilege of chatting with two very unique individuals here. I'll start with Clayton Thomas, who is actually the co-founder and a co-formulator of a company named The Root. And also we have a very special athlete here with us. His name is Tony Freeman, American IFBB professional bodybuilder champion. And it's a privilege for me to have the opportunity to talk with both of these guys. All three of us currently are on a supplement product that Clayton, which belongs to Clayton's company here. And we're going to have a little discussion in regards to that product and, just enjoy. So Clayton and Tony, welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time out here.
Hey, Sanj, thanks for having me.
Awesome, brother. Likewise. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome, brother. So, Tony, you've been on this product, only a couple of weeks, and you're familiar with Zeolite, and I'll just kind of go into what the main product is. The name is Clean Slate by Clayton's company, the Root brand, and I know you were kind of already familiar with what this product can do. But in your few weeks of kind of experience here, why don't you kind of give us a little bit of feedback? Are you loving the product or what?
Yes, of course. As soon as I heard about the product, of course, I was interested. I was looking for a heavy metal detox. And I thought that once I was introduced to Clean Slate, it sounded much better than the suppository method of chelation. So, of course, I actually bought a couple of bottles because I wanted my wife to try it as well. And so far, so good. I got a cleanse. I call it a cleanse. It's a program for gut health. And I know that cleaning out the heavy metals is a big part of that. So it just kind of went along with what I was already doing. And so far, so good.
Awesome. Great to hear. And Clayton, over to you. When you've been in this space, I think, when somebody says, when they kind of go into the space of zeolites and this specific mineral and who's in the industry, who's marketing it, not even marketing it, but who's really formulating it, your name pretty much comes on the top here, people that know the industry anyways. So how did you kind of get into this? And if you can tell us your inspiration about creating this product.
I got to give a shout out to one of my friends. It's the amazing part of, just having relationships and, why social sharing and networking is so important, because growing up around the health and wellness industry and veterinary medicine and then graduating college, I had a friend of mine tell me about a company that was launching really the first solution of clinoptilolite in the zeolite space 16 years ago. And his educational background is a little bit different than mine. He decided school was not any good after 7th grade. And I went to college for a little bit. And he's like, look, I don't understand the science of this, but you will. You got to look at this. And it was one of those times, one of two times in my life where God just kind of taps you on the shoulder. It's like, that's what you should be working with. And the concept was the exact opposite of everything that I'd been taught. But when I really started to dive into the mechanisms and really look at the causes of problems, and it doesn't matter if you have a diagnosis, if it's autism, Alzheimer's, everything in between, doesn't really matter, because the cause all comes back to the same thing. And it's very simply pollution. And it came down to what Tony was talking about, whether it's gut health or brain health or joint health or tissue health or organ health or blood health. It's all about pollution. And if you can remove those toxins systemically, but also very passively and slowly, you can change people's lives really quickly. And over the last 16 years, I think I've been able to do that about 100,000 times. And it's kind of cool.
Very cool. Very cool.
Okay, well,
I'm at like 90,000. I'm at like 90,000. I ain't at 100 yet.
So, Tony, you've been you've been in this health space for many years. How many if somebody had to ask you how many supplements, how many products you think you've tried, could you put a number on that?
Not even close. I remember, you know, the horse liver tablets. There was like 2 brands. It was Chef and I forgot the other one. And then Weider. You know, I got introduced to bodybuilding, Weider. Yeah. And God rest his soul. I mean, that stuff was just unconsumable. You know what I'm saying? Like we was, it was just unconsumable back then, and we still consumed it. And it was like, oh my goodness. So I've seen pretty much everything. I've tried pretty much everything. There's something about the energy of supplements. You know, like I can almost tell right away if it's, you know, I do a lot of you know, I forgot what you call it when you hold it to your chest, and if it pushes you back or forward or whatever.
Like applied kinesiology. Yeah, muscle testing and everything. Yep.
Yeah. I do that with everything now. And then of course, you know, trying to have a clean system, you can really tell if something's, you know, doing something for you. And I will tell you this. I remember the first couple of weeks, the first couple of days I took it. Yes, I did get a result, but my urine got darker.
Oh yeah.
I remember distinctly now. I was like, what the hell's going on? Well, yes, that was like the initial 3 days of taking it. I noticed that.
And everybody's a little bit different, you know, and it's part of that fun. You know, when you talk about muscle testing and such, when I first met my wife, it was the one thing I had to do is I tried to get as close to her chest as possible and see if she'd push me away. I failed. I gotta know.
That's funny.
We're not talking about that muscle test.
Right? That's hilarious. That's hilarious. No, but I'm very impressed. I'm gonna tell you what really that ebook you sent me, that's pretty amazing data. And I'm not the type of person that has to have the white papers and all the data before, you know, but I was just very impressed, again, because I'm familiar with Zeolites and the different levels, and it's just very impressive. It's just a very impressive product. I don't know how long the typical results take for people. Some people, they have something already extremely wrong with them. They notice something really quickly. I just, you know, I'm on the cleanse anyway, and I'm putting my people on it, and, you know, we're getting double-digit weight loss in a week. But it's, you know, we all know it's water, but it's also a lot of toxins and buildup of bad bacteria and candida, heavy metals, all that type of stuff. So as long as we're getting that result, I'm gonna just keep on trucking with it because it works.
All right, awesome.
Well, and that's really the big thing is when, you know, what we got to talk about initially is you are one of the original biohackers, right? The term that's become so popular today. You know, but back in the 90s, and I can say I was a little bit part of that group, only my focus was more predicated on speed than mass. And the understanding of the process, so many people today want to lose weight, right? But they don't understand what the weight is and where it can come from and what it means. And it goes back to what I was talking about. When you look at the cause, and people that are fat, they're like, well, I'm fat because I'm not working out, or I'm fat because I don't eat right, and I'm fat because I'm lazy. It's like, no, you're fat because you're polluted. And it speaks to, I was just talking with one of my advisors, one of my partners earlier, and his wife is a homeopath. He's 6 foot, 184 pounds or 180 pounds. So he's in pretty good shape. When we first met, he's like, I do my celery juice every day because my wife does it for me, and I have my regimen. She puts me on all this stuff. And he came back after his first week. He's like, I lost 8 pounds. I haven't done anything different. What's going on? I'm like, yeah, that's inflammation. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, that's removing the toxins from fat, and what's causing the inflammation is no longer there. So the inflammation shows up as weight. It's no longer there. And it's like, good Lord. And it's just really rethinking the process And like we were talking about earlier, our understanding of physiology, our understanding really of the science of wellness is way more advanced than it has been 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. But our comprehension of really the underlying issues, we're in our infancy. And I think that's the unique part, because we get to collaborate with some of these minds like Tony that have been around the industry at the highest levels of performance and really fine-tuning human performance. And we're now playing with some things that if you looked at it, if you look at the body as an erector set, you're tweaking different stuff and you're moving things here or there. And then you look over on the side, you're like, well, here's a couple things that you never knew you could play with. So here's some new tools. And I think that's the really, really intriguing aspect of where we sit, that whether you're an athlete currently and you're looking at tweaking your performance and you want to break down barriers and do things you've never done before, or if you're just making sure that you're going to be healthy, functional, feel better than you could ever imagine, they're both in hand now.
Yep. And they go together. Yep. Even though, as athletes, we don't really care about it when we're younger, but they go together regardless. You just take advantage. You take for granted the things that you can get away with when you're younger, but in reality, it's always the case. So,
and it's what we know now, that if, there's always the question of what would you do if yourself now could talk to yourself when you were younger? You go, the list is long and distinguished.
The list is long.
But if our younger population is able to start doing some of the things that we know are beneficial, the detoxification standpoint, now playing with neurotransmission, different things you can do for gut health and how important that is. And like we were going over, different ways of training that you don't have to work out for an hour or 2 hours and just be a fiend. Do some stuff, get in, get out, be done. But be very strategic in how you do things. It's just a different level of function, and it's better performance.
It really is. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing, Tony, like, you've been, how long have you had that program, your gut program that you recommend to your following and your clients? How long has that been going on for?
Probably about 4 years. Because what happened was, after I left bodybuilding, I had to go through a transformation myself. I left bodybuilding. I had a soft tissue injury, right? So it didn't keep me from bodybuilding. It just made me push pause. And the fact that I was 49 and a half, during that pause, I was just like, well, hell, even if I fully recovered and went back and won the Olympia, I'm still going to be 50 in August. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of like, when I started cleansing and purging, because I actually found out that I had parasites, and I had, and I was toxic, and then I was malnourished all at the same time with the injury. And I was like, whoa, hold up. And I had planned on doing 8 shows that year. So imagine if the injury kind of saved me, actually. So anyway, I did the cleanse, started intermittent fasting, I killed all the parasites. And then when I got to the point where, I was eating 1 meal a day or 2 meals a day, I had purged a lot of parasites and toxins, and I call them demons. God just kind of put it on my heart to put that together and help other people, go through what I went through and come out on the other side. And I kept fine tuning it. And not the company I'm with now, but the company that I was with before, I shared it with a couple of my, promoters or whatever. And the first lady I gave it to lost 14 pounds in 7 days. She was really toxic, really bloated and all that. And so it just kind of took off. And I was able to build a really good business just sharing my program. So, of course, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I just kept fine-tuning it and finding, better elements to add to it. And I was looking for a heavy metal detox because I know I have heavy metals. That was one of the things that I discovered when I was doing my cleanse, that I had a lot of mercury because I ate raw tuna all the doggone time. I literally was eating 8 ounces every single day. That's how I got the kidney worm. You know what I'm saying? So it's been like, that's how I found Melanite, and I was doing the 2.0. I've done it several times, but like you said, over the years, you just improve it. And then I forgot how I found you guys, but as soon as I heard it, I was like, I like that. I need that. And then he said, Clayton Thomas. I'm like, wait a minute. I know that name. And then so the rest is history.
If you found Sanj, you might have found him on Bumble.
I'm trying to remember.
We met through Jacques.
Oh, Jacques. That's right. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. Jacques, is Jacques taking the product?
Jacques, man, he's avoiding me right now. You know, some people, and he's all business right now, and I'm like, man, your business is there always. Get on the product, get your health restored. And he's saying, I'm on board, and he's just avoiding, man. You know, sometimes you have to be mentally ready, right?
Well, or just like Clayton said, God'll just tap you on the shoulder.
That's right. So when your time is there.
And sometimes, you know what I'm saying, like, might not be ready. I tell people all the time, you either gonna be like Abraham or you're gonna be like Jonah, but you coming. You know what I'm saying? When he tap you on the shoulder, you got to respond.
You know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
the fact that, you know, over 4 years, you know, you've been constantly tweaking and improving your program, and it's worked for hundreds, if not thousands, of people that have probably tried your program, and now you've incorporated clean slate into it. You know, that's exciting. You know, and we want to see where that goes further. We'd love to, you know, hear how people are reacting. You know, it's funny. You know, we don't get. You know, I personally don't get a chance to talk to too many professional and championship bodybuilders. I have a question. Back in the industry, so when you were competing, and I heard this. This is you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger. He used to mentally psych out. He used to you know, his fellow competitors. He'd make them laugh right before they did, you know, be getting ready to go on stage and perform. Do you have any stories? Anything you'd want to share? Anything, you know, like to psych out people, or have you ever done any of that kind of stuff during your competition days?
Yes, but I did it without realizing that I was doing it. And then when I realized that's what was going on, you know what I'm saying? Like I kind of like right in the middle. I'll tell you the story. It was my first pro win. The day started off horrible. I over dehydrated. I woke up that next morning about 4 a.m. and I literally, I mean, I don't want to gross people out, but I literally peed. Right? You know how you like that morning one, right? So it just kept going. Like it was like Austin Powers. It was the weirdest thing. It felt like and then after that, I you know, turned on the light. I couldn't see myself in the mirror. It was crazy. I was so dehydrated. I was scared. Anyway, I drank a bunch of water. I took some NO Shotgun. I was working for VPX back then. Now, NO Shotgun is a pre-workout. So it's not nothing that you take before you compete. But I was so, I don't know, sunk down that I needed something to pump me back up. So anyway, I drank a gallon of water, took some NO Shotgun, and I took some Vitargo. And my muscles just, I mean, they just exploded. So I went to the show. You know, in the prejudging, everybody just kind of hanging around, sitting around in a big circle. So this was the first time that they were going to air it live on the internet. This is like 2006. So they said, okay, fellas, we're going live in 20 minutes. You got to get up and get dressed and get in line. So everybody jumped up and they're, you know, taking off their clothes. Everybody, you know, took their warm-up suits off. I took my warm-up suit off. Everybody looked around and they put their clothes back on. You know, it was hilarious because Ronnie Coleman used to do that all the time. Everybody would get dressed and, you know, Ronnie take his clothes off and everybody's ready to go home. You know what I'm saying? So it was just a really, that was the first time that ever happened to me. And of course I won the show, but it was just, when you're on, you're on. You know what I'm saying? In bodybuilding, Arnold used to look at his opponents and like Sergio was better than him a couple of times. So he knew he couldn't beat him physically. So number one, he kept him out on stage for a long time, kind of wore him out. And then he played a mind game. Okay, that's good. Come on, let's go in the back. And then Sergio's tired. And so he goes to walk on stage and Arnold stays out there and poses. And that's how he wins the show. So anything you can do to give you that edge, I mean, I say albeit as long as you're not hurting nobody. But, you know, I never hit anybody's shirt or nothing like that. But it's a cool it was a cool experience.
Awesome.
Especially like I said, especially when you did your homework and you come out on top.
All right, man. Thanks for sharing that. What do you think is one of the main differences with the industry when you were at your peak and what the industry is today?
I don't know, man. I want to say the quality was better. And I think it's because of the way that we trained. I mean, now they have machines for your pinky now. You know what I'm saying? Huh. Like you could do. So we were more old school, and I'm like I say, it hasn't went away, but I'm just saying it. I think that's the difference. I know that the chemistry made a big difference because there's just more things to use, so people are experimenting more. But I really think it's more of the intensity of the training.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference maker.
Okay.
So,
well, that leads to a question for you. So, because the access is something that's applicable to our wellness, right? We have a greater access of information, but just I'll say the wellness industry, which includes the supplement industry, I'll just call it noise, right? Mm-hmm. There's so many different products, even in the same category, and there's just so much shit. So how do you go about, as a lay person, trying to figure out, oh, I'm reading this, so I know that there's this and this and this and this and this and this. There's all these great things. But then I know my position because this is what we did, but being able to understand the science behind stuff and being able to differentiate what you're reading or what you're hearing is really the hard part, right? Because just because we have access and just because there's so many options doesn't mean all of those are quality, and it doesn't mean they're all correct.
Right.
Or applicable to you.
Yeah.
You know, when all the studies and research, those are controlled variables. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't live in a controlled variable. So a lot of those things really don't apply per se in the way that you're absorbing the information. You know what I'm saying? Like, the application of the information or the product matters. I mean, what kind of, I wanted to say something earlier about, when you start talking about people losing weight or getting improvements when they start getting rid of the trash, because we're not designed to be dumpsters. We're temples. We're not dumpsters. You know what I'm saying? Like a temple, you go and flow and in and out. A dumpster, you have to wait till somebody comes and empties you, And so that's what we're up against right now. Everybody's consuming, which, we're all guilty of it, but that is the problem. That's what's wrong with us. We don't alleviate or eliminate in the same rate as we consume. Plus, everything's so processed, and even the natural stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like, you really have to comb through it to find out what's really what. With all the lobbying and all that, you can, like maltodextrin says no sugar. And I'm just like, wow. I know that's kind of old, but think about that. It's labeled as not a sugar. And I'm just like, well, no, it's not. It's twice as bad as sugar. You know what I'm saying? So, don't even make sugar. Don't lower sugar like that. Maltodextrin is like corn and, you know what I'm saying? So you really got to comb through everything. And I swear that bodybuilders are the guinea pigs for everything. We've worked the kinks out on almost every facet of getting in shape.
Yep.
All the fat burners, all the muscle builders, all that. We're the ones that prove they were right or wrong, or
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Tony, you bring up
the human lab rat.
When you talk about the importance of, you said we're not sewage systems, we're not meant to be backed up. So that brings up another important topic of our lymph nodes and how our lymph nodes should be working at optimal, levels at all times. I read a study about when, people that have had their tonsils removed, and they have issues with their, getting stuff out of their body normally, then, obviously there's various studies out there. Some say it doesn't matter. Some say, yeah, it does. Have you had come across anything, Clayton or Thomas or Tony, in regards to basically, how lymph nodes, and the connection possibly with tonsils being removed? And if not even that, just the importance of, how to maintain optimal, that optimal basically movement of your lymph nodes so that everything is getting readily taken out of the body as well.
That's truly the reason why exercise is good for you, is that movement, is what you need for your lymph system to work correctly. My wife just finished with cancer, and one of the things I was afraid of, because she only has one kidney, is that the chemo was gonna, do
destroy
something
that
back
kidney
up in her lymph nodes. So I basically made sure she did all kinds of lymph draining, the brush, the rebounder, the herbs, and the burdock root and the dandelion root. So we did all of that stuff to make sure that that stuff didn't back up in her system. It's extremely important. And to get all that, because I know chemo has to have metals in it. So that's really why I got all this stuff, so we can, and the best way to get it out is slowly. That's why chelation is, could be dangerous for some people, especially the ones that are over toxic with metals. So this is a good way to take some clean slate before your cardio, because you're moving, and that's
and after.
What I mean?
And that's actually that actually gets into a key point of what some of our athletes over in Europe have confirmed for us is, and it goes down to that testing, and we can say the biohacking aspects, but we have found that using clean slate first thing in the morning and last thing before you go to bed are ideal for working with the circadian rhythm of the body. But then a bunch of our athletes started using a third dose right after their workouts and found that it flushed all the lactic acid. And so recovery was absolutely insane. I mean, they're going back to back days, and they're not fatiguing, and they're recovered the next morning. And it speaks to the process. But one of the things that Sanj was alluding to that is so crucial that most people don't understand, and Tony, I know you'll hit on a point on this, is the importance of oral health. Right. And if you go see a good dentist, the dentist can look at your gums and look at your teeth and tell you how your cardiovascular risk factors are doing, diabetes, everything else. But there's a couple components that are so crucial to that, with mercury used in amalgam fillings and how many people have amalgams, and if you have root canals and they pack them with amalgam. And if you look at the nervous structure from your teeth into your roots, those nerves go right to your brain. I mean, it is a direct line. So whether you're talking about your cheeks, your gums, your total oral health, that is systemic. And you look at our exposure, the water you drink, the food you eat, the air you breathe is coming right through here and right through here. So it is the most exposed aspects of our body, and you've got to make sure you're taking care of it.
Right.
Yeah, I still have my tonsils. I don't really know much about that, but I know all that stuff is connected, and so it matters. I remember I had some infection in one of my teeth, so I had to get root canals. It wasn't metal. They got all the metal out of my mouth, but and I also did a scan called a blue opal, and some of the infection from my dental stuff got to my heart and to my brain. So I went and did a EBO, which is a ozone dialysis, basically, to kill all the crap. And I remember my cholesterol dropped 54 points in 7 days after doing the cleanse. I mean, it was crazy what I went through. And I went and took like a 9-phase bioimpedance. It's a, what do you call it? Biological age test. After I did all of that, it said I was 20. After I did all that cleansing. But I mean, I was like, man, I'm glad I did all that cleansing, because it definitely would have had me in not 20 for sure. If I had to clean that all out. I was just like, man, I got to go find somewhere where I can. I mean, I did auto hemotherapy and the EBO to try to get all that infection out. So,
wow.
And that's what most people are slowly dying of, is infection.
Yeah. And it's just being toxic in so many different aspects.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy that it's really awesome that we got a chance to touch on the clean slate product, but just as equally as important, I want to really touch on and the second product is Zero In. It's for mental clarity, focus, the dopamine, the serotonin, the melatonin, and I know that last time we talked, Tony, you were saying I think you tried only like a one pill. And you were saying, it was a little bit mild for me, and we were like, okay, let's go ahead and up the dosage. Did you get a chance to experiment with that and see how that's been for you, or have you not been really taking that?
Not yet. I haven't tried 2 yet. I don't really like stimulants, so I drink my coffee and I take one. I'm good. So, in other words, when you did the video, it's better than cocaine. I was like, well, I need some more feedback on that. Because,
so here's the
real and being transparent. Say that again.
So here's the challenge for you. Empty stomach.
Yep.
Empty stomach. Take 2 with water, no coffee. Watch what happens.
Okay. Cool.
It's not a stimulant. That's the key. Because and this is the beautiful part of formulation and biochemistry. Is yes, there is caffeine in every capsule, but it's anhydrous caffeine. And people are like, well, that's just dehydrated caffeine, which is true, but it actually performs differently. And the anhydrous caffeine actually acts as a buffer for dopamine, so you don't get too high. So, and that's where, Sanj and I were talking about, because I've had feedback from probably a dozen people, and I've never touched the stuff, and I won't, but from people that are either in recovery or that are current existing coke heads, and they're like, this stuff's better than coke, but it doesn't have all the negatives. And that's just a shining testimonial if someone gives you that, because there's not much that performs like that, especially a nutritional supplement. But Sanj can actually give you feedback, because he did this yesterday. He took 5 at one time.
Wow.
Sanj, talk to me.
Yeah, I took 5, and
talk to me.
I took 5 of the Zero In pills, and I did it because I had a conversation with Clayton in regards to people getting into really elevated, when they're doing meditation, they reach elevated states, and I really wanted to kind of go into that and try it out for myself. So I went into a 2-hour meditation with deep breathing, a technique that I've got, and I'll tell you, man, it was one of the very I experienced some stuff that I've never experienced before. And, a lot of people, you can call it, or maybe, some may say, well, that could have been even just an effect that you brought along yourself. But no, it was something there. And I'll tell you, because the important thing with meditation is being able to relax. So with this product, you would think it would be the opposite. But no, I had the ability to get relaxed, and I had the ability to reach these meditative heights where I was just in a different state, and I wouldn't compare it to drugs or anything like that, but I mean, what I would simply say it was an experience that was really humbling, and by the end of it, I came out with gratitude, and I came out with joy, and it was something that I shared with these guys, and I'll tell you, Tony, it was something that if you got your hands on the product, you got it laying around. Try that one day. I don't know if you're into meditation.
I'll do 2. I may do 3, but I'll definitely do 2 tomorrow on an empty stomach for sure.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and the key point that Sanj just hit on, right, is with most products, like you, Tony, like you were talking about, the workout products or things that have stimulants in them that are typically to improve mental performance and focus, you would never take any of those to relax. Right? It's diametrically opposed in philosophy. What makes this so unique, and we didn't know this when we had it formulated. It took 3 years to formulate this to get it right, and it took another 2 years of testing because we were looking at its performance. But it was only when we had now 18,000 people using it, we started to get feedback. This stuff is such an amazing adaptogen, because all it's doing is, like you were talking about with your gut, is it's feeding your gut the ingredients your gut needs to produce dopamine and serotonin. It's not saying do this one or do this one. It's just saying, here's a bunch of gasoline on the fire. Do what you want to do. So if you're focused on relaxation, more serotonin, a little dopamine. But if you're focused on performance during the day, you're making executive decisions, sports performance, what have you, more dopamine, a little serotonin. So you feel really good, but you're focused and you just want to crush everything. So it's your body that dictates the process, which is honestly unlike anything I've ever experienced. And I'm not saying that because we manufacture it and we distribute it. I've never seen anything like it. And like you said, it's the outcomes, right? It's the feedback from people that we feed off of, because at the end of the day, we're all a clinical trial of one.
Yep.
That's the only data that's really important. I can't look at a clinical trial of 40,000 people and go, well, they did it, so it's going to affect me the same way.
Right.
It's not true.
Exactly.
And now, Tony, because of the fact that it's a banned substance-free product, like, you know, during the days when you were in the, you know, in the training days and in the competing days, like, what do you think a product like this would have done? Like, I mean, amongst the crew in the back, you know, I think it would have been, you know, people might have been enjoying that product. And if it does what we're, you know, like if you guys have the same results with what we're saying here, right? You know, it probably would have been a pretty popular product back then. So that's something
For
that,
sure.
you know.
when you're dieting, you know, you're always on the edge anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, so having something that'll give you the balanced brain chemistry, and I'm all about that. So that's what's up. Everyone needs it.
Well,
Yeah,
especially
exactly.
now. And Sanj and I were having a conversation last night about this with stress, right? And how stressed people are right now. And I think he was using the term the COVID blues, and the importance of being able to balance brain chemistry. But what is so misunderstood is when people think brain chemistry, they think here. But brain chemistry starts in the gut.
In the gut, yeah.
Because 95% of the neurotransmitters of the dopamine and serotonin are produced in the gut.
Yeah.
So it's creating that balance between the two. Vagus nerve connects everything. And if you can clean up here, you clean up here, and then you feed the good stuff to allow everything here to really kickstart and supercharge your neurotransmission, watch out.
Yeah.
Right.
So Tony, seems like you've also kind of perfected, you know, your knowledge in the gut health area, right? Because of the program that you got created. I'm interested to know, and Clayton, I want to get your thoughts on this as well. And I want to go specifically back to parasites. So in terms of parasites, what's their connection with heavy metals and with all these other toxins? And how does that affect the parasites when we start getting these toxins removed?
But the parasites want the toxic environment. You know, they thrive in that whole toxic environment. You know, they want low oxygen, high toxins. So I'm not even sure what the connection is with the metals, but a lot of those parasites are, like I say, the ones I got from the tuna. You know, I got the mercury and the parasites together. So I just think they just go hand in hand. I call them demons now. Now that I know the difference between the way they make me feel as a man, as a human, my spirituality is through the roof now, where before, you know, it was hit or miss. I found myself in a lot of dark places because of it like torments you, and you don't even know it. You don't even have any idea why you feel the way you feel. Depression, I feel like, starts in the gut. I feel like it's like all that toxic soup, you know, circulating from your brain to your gut, to your brain to your gut. I mean, how can you think positive? How can you feel good about what's happening in your life? I really believe when you start to try to detox those parasites, they start secreting all extra stuff to make you break, to make you go eat, you know, whatever, or go drink or do whatever it is you do, because they are controlling you in certain way.
How long did that last before you found a solution to that problem? How long
I
were you
think
suffering?
the whole journey was about 18 months, because I stopped training in, let's just say April of 16. And it was January of 18 when I finally When I finally purged the kidney worm, when I finally decalcified my pineal gland, you know, I felt like a new, I felt, you know how they say born again? I felt born again. I felt like I died. I felt like the old me died. And like the kid I was when I left home at 17. So that kid I was at 17, 18, 19, I looked in the mirror and he was in the mirror again. As you know, I went from being, you know, my dad's a preacher, my mom's a teacher. I went from that mindset to being a male dancer and a bouncer, right? In the height of Atlanta when there was, you know, all the kingpin dope dealers was here. I was like in that whole situation. I was about 199 pounds, right? Really? Fast forward 10, 15 years later, I was 310 pounds, competing at the highest level as the X-Man. You know what I'm saying? Traveling all over the world, all these different foreign countries. I picked up a lot of parasites, demons, microbiome. It's just microbiome. And of course, after they stay with you a long time, they get a little size to them. But other than that, it's microbiome. And then when you start fasting, you start starving them off. They get pissed off. You pick up the intensity with some herbs and some, you know, Zeta-like clean slate for one. And man, I even got to the level where, you know, I'm fasting, I'm intermittent fasting, I'm doing, you know, all kinds of herbs, all kinds of stuff. But I even did gum spirits turpentine towards the end. You ever heard of people doing that? Back in the day, you know, this old slave medicine, gum spirits turpentine. You take, I don't know, a few drops of that. Yeah. And boy, parasites hate that. So anyway, I went to that level of the detox. And that's how I finally killed all the rest of them. Because I mean, I literally, you know, I watched them pass out of my, you know, I passed them and I saw them and all that. So it was crazy.
You're like
crazy. Yeah, exactly. And then when you let them go, like you literally get this clarity, this sense of empathy, and you just want to do the right thing. It's kind of crazy because, you know, a lot of times, you know, however you was raised or whatever, but when you purge that stuff, it just makes you more ethical. It makes you, because you're the ones making the decisions now. And I truly believe if you walk around with enough toxins and parasites in you, it's like, you know, like cartoons, like Pinky and the Brain or Plankton. They're taking over the world. I mean, they really take over your thought process. You know, like I said, my dad's a preacher, and you hear the scripture about the lust of the flesh. So you immediately think sex, but sex is like the easiest thing probably to get over. It's all the other little things. It's like, you know, we're addicted to our phones. We're addicted to everything now. So those demons, like us, you know, we're looking at this phone right now and you got the black screen, you know, that's the other side. All this stuff is coming out of thin air. The fact that we're talking, all three of us, you're in Canada, you're in Tennessee, and I'm in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? All that stuff is going through the air, and it connects. It's connected to us. We're connected to it. Makes a difference. Frequency, vibration, all that. It makes a difference. Yep.
Well, and we are resonant beings, and we are just a big bundle of energy. And if I can expand on a couple of things that you hit on. As it pertains to heavy metals. And it's important to understand this, that we as humans, our system, when healthy and functioning properly, we are antibacterial, at least negative bacteria. We are antifungal, we are antiviral, and we are antiparasitic, right?
Wow.
But as you're hitting on, the heavy metals create the negative environment, you know, that balance in pH that is just so finite. They create that toxic environment, but it's also the heavy metals that are the food source for those parasites. So when the one thing I have found, and I've posted a couple pictures on this recently from some animals that were flushing stuff in 2 days from some dogs and such. And I've seen this in people. We had a group of, there was probably 100 people in Slovenia that maybe it wasn't that many. It might have been like 20 or so, that for a week, they were all flushing for a week. They couldn't leave the house because it was just bathroom constantly, just flush. And I called one of the docs we had over there, and it's like, what parasite do you guys have over there? She's like, pinworms. I'm like, oh, perfect. That's it. And this just group of people, they were just flushing like crazy. But instead of, like Tony, you were hitting on, and the same thing goes for Lyme disease, right? Because Lyme's just bacteria. It's just really wicked little bioengineered bacteria, but still just bacteria. That if you try to attack them, they will fight back. Yeah. Because they're mean little bastards. Any type of parasite, right?
Yes,
they're going to start dumping biotoxins, or they're going to fight back. But if you remove their food source, and if you change the environment, they can't survive, and then your body takes over and says, guess what? You got to go.
Eviction notice.
Fight back.
Yeah, eviction notice.
It depends. It's the aspect of like fighting a fire. Do you say, you know what? Yeah, we're going to have to throw a bunch of water on this, and we're going to do this. It's like, or do we just take away your oxygen supply?
Yeah.
And it's how do you want to win it? And that's one of the unique aspects of what we've seen with Clean Slate when it comes to all of those bacteria, with Lyme especially, but mold, other biotoxin issues, parasites and such. And it's a lot like boiling a frog, right? Because if you heat up the water and you throw the frog in, they're jumping out. It's chaos, pandemonium. But if you got the frog in the pot, and then you just start turning up the heat a little bit, you'll cook the frog because they won't leave.
Yeah.
The same thing goes in process when it comes to doing really good passive systemic detoxification.
Yep.
This is something that it has to be done slowly. And Dr. Stefan Rao used the greatest analogy I've ever heard about this process. And he's a virologist and immunologist, a PhD, really well published, one of the world's leading experts on vitamin D supplementation and immunology. And we talk about, and I'm guilty of this, and because I never thought of this analogy. We always talk about balance being like a scale. We're not. We're like a mobile, right? So you got all of these different things hanging off. And if one thing over here even moves a little bit, it shifts everything. Yep. So the key is not creating too much chaos at one time. Just doing a little bit here and there and moving stuff and getting stuff out so you don't disrupt the balance. But you're making a huge difference because you're creating a better aspect of homeostasis. And that's when you start to see stuff. And we've become a microwave society where people want immediate results. They want to see stuff really quickly. But when it comes to real systemic wellness, this is not something that you can do quickly. You can hurt someone. You can kill someone. You can do permanent damage. But if you are doing something that is really looking at everything that you've gone through since you were in the womb, and this is what's crucial, and Tony, you hit on it. It's like, I was full of heavy metals. This just in. We all are. Ever since you're in the freaking womb. And that's what we're dealing with. It's great. You know, people are like, well, how long is this going to take me? It's like, well, how long have you been here? Like, what do you mean? It's like, how long have you been alive?
Right.
And where did you grow up? Where was your mom from? Where's your grandmother from? Where's your great-grandmother from? Because what was in them is in you. And then your exposure every day of your life, every bit of air you've taken a breath from, the food, the water. We can get into what you've had injected into you, whether it's voluntary or involuntary, and all of these different aspects. It's all of those components that are making up this process that makes us who and what we are now.
Yep.
And you can't fix that overnight. It's a process.
No.
And that's really the journey.
I basically use that same thing. You're born, you're the closest thing to a human that you'll ever be for the rest of your life. After that, your added microbiome from outside sources. So in other words, it's fused with your DNA now. And I mean, think about, when I was coming out of my whatever, that's what I started thinking. Those thoughts came into my brain. I'm just like, I literally put on 162 pounds on my 162 pound body. And I'm like, what? Well, what was that? You know what I'm saying? Like, how much of that was really me? And how much of that was like one of those Hondas with the kid on it? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like all that stuff was like added on. It wasn't me. And so how could I expect to be really me under those circumstances? I'm not. When you're full of toxins, when you eat nothing but processed food your entire human existence, well, by the time you're 25, 30, you're, 20% human now? I mean, if that, you see what I'm saying? Like, and that's why we see all this hate and all this other stuff, because I believe that is added on. That's stuff that you learn and collect throughout your lifespan. And it becomes you. It's not really you, but it becomes you.
Yep.
Right.
And that's the journey.
And you know what? Even I'll share. It's funny, Clayton. You mentioned how to deal with parasites on a very slow manner. Actually, I don't know if you ever heard of a device called a zapper. So I tried the zapper and I did it. I just had it placed actually on my thigh 3 days, as long as I could. I was just holding it, blah, blah, blah. 3 days later, I kind of just set it aside and I forgot about it. And because I did that, I just left it. But the 3 days that I really shocked the body, after that is when they got their revenge on me, because I remember it was after that I started, within like a couple of weeks, I gained like 10 pounds and I just started feeling like shit. And I'm like, then I couldn't pinpoint it. And then 2 months later, it clicked into me like that zapper, man. You started a battle, you started a war, but then you retreated.
You got to finish them. You got to finish them because they come back with a vengeance. Wow, you really got to finish them. And like I say, it's levels too. You can't throw napalm on them. You got to like send spies in there first. And like the turpentine, you drop the turpentine on sugar cubes. So you fast for a while first. Then you eat a sugar cube. Then you drop some turpentine on the sugar cube and eat that one. So you draw them out with the sugar cube, and then you kill them with. It's no joke, bro.
It's a strategy, man.
It's no joke.
It's Sun Tzu fucking shit.
It's no joke. But when they leave you feel like you know that wow, I was actually toxic. I was actually full of parasites.
There you go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So my program, right? I call it Gut Righteous, and basically it's 3 days of clearing the clutter, which is basically fasting with just bone broth and sauerkraut and the supplements. And then the day 4, you start adding back green leafy vegetables, so the good feeling microbiome can proliferate. And then I tell people to add protein back day 5 and day 6 and 7, and then after that, you're already in ketosis. You could do any kind of diet or program you want after that. Yeah. And then I say, now you have the ability to build back better. You can put only good food in there if you want. You know what I'm saying? And that will be what's in there. So that's kind of what my program is about. Got some people getting crazy results. And, like I say, most people are losing double digits because they're so toxic. And most of that's water and just whatever was in their digestive tract.
Right.
So.
All right, man. This was
or fortunately.
It's a very, very enlightening conversation here. Is there anything you guys want to add? Clayton, you got anything else you want to add?
Don't fight with Tony.
Keep Tony on the good side.
I am definitely the lover, not a fighter.
Yeah. Well, Tony, you know what, brother? Thank you so much. And as a thank you from me, what I'm gonna do is I'm in this YouTube video, I'm gonna put in the description. I'm gonna put your affiliate link. I'm going to put an ebook, that ebook that you were talking about. I'm going to put the one that has your affiliate link on it, so everybody can kind of go through to you.
Awesome.
And yeah, and what I'll do is I'll even put the gut health program that you got created. I'll put a link to that so they can go over to you and they can get explained to exactly what that program is, because that should all be incorporated here. And let's all work together. This is the beauty of it. We incorporate all these things and we make it work.
Sounds awesome. Yeah. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, brother.
Cool. So the next question: when is the new product going to be available? If maybe I'm not supposed to say nothing, but
no, Restore will be the official launch is going to be March 9th. I think we're closing out the special. What's that?
I said, when can I get it? I can get the special still?
Probably in the next couple weeks. We're just finishing the first production run. We've been going back and forth on getting the boxes done. I think we got the boxes completed for the artwork and compliance. So I think we're about 10 days out. So I'll say, where are we at, the 3rd? So probably around the 20th of February here. We'll have goodies.
Keep me posted.
Oh, you're going to love this stuff because it's going to be phenomenal for gut health. Well, here, I'll give you, I think we talked about this before, but I'll read you the ingredients and then you can tell me what you know. Raspberry ketones, curcumin, 95% curcuminoids, 100 megs of resveratrol, 250 megs of D-ribose, 198 megs of apple cider vinegar, 10 megs of aloe vera, and 175 megs of black cumin seed oil.
Awesome. So the only thing that I know about it, but I don't really have any experience with raspberry ketones. When those first came out, they bastardized them. So I never really paid attention to them. So give me a little bit on that.
It's some of the metabolic function benefits, and most of those are good, are designed for restoring the gut. And not as much as the probiotic aspect as for the microbiome per se, but and Sanj and I were talking about this last night. When we talk about the tight junctions needed in the gut and the lining of the gut, that's where this is going to be phenomenal. Is repairing that structure, because as you detoxify stuff and as you repair that, and then you can make sure the rest of the microbiome starts to work, and then you can really regenerate everything. And we know that apple cider vinegar is very beneficial, for both aspects. And there's not many supplements that actually have it in it. And here's the coolest part: it tastes like orange creamsicles, and there's only 3 grams of sugar.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Cool. Yeah. So look forward to that. Cool.
So Clayton, you were saying that it'll be available in March?
Yeah, so it'll officially launch on March 9th, but we had a special. I think the special ends today. Today or tomorrow.
I think it ended about 20 minutes ago.
Or it's
but
either
I didn't
that or 40
I didn't
minutes.
see where you could actually order those.
If you ordered
order though? I saw.
Yeah, if you ordered a value pack or a family pack, you got 1 box or 2 boxes free.
And that was within the last couple of days, though. So that got started in the last couple of days, though.
And if you didn't order one, I'll make sure you get some. I'm a team player.
Cool.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
We'll make sure you get some, Tony. Yeah.
But I will tell you this: it is the greatest tasting wellness product I've ever had. And one of my kids, he went to 15 months. I've taken I was able to try it when we formulated it, and that was almost a year ago. And I've missed it ever since. But I had one of my son's best friends try some, because I had 1 sachet left in the office, and I was like, here, try this, try a little bit. Gave him a teaspoon. And he looked at me, he's like, is this good for you? I'm like, yeah, it's actually really good for you. He's like, no, it can't be good for you. It tastes too good. I'm like, that's all I need to hear. I'm like, would you take that? And he's like,
I know
take
that's
this
right.
every day. It tastes really good. I'm like, oh, perfect. So it'll be fun.
Awesome.
All right, good stuff, man. All right, so look forward to trying that, and maybe we'll get on another. We'll try that product, and Tony, maybe a few weeks down the road, we can jump on another call and we can talk about that. So we'll keep it going.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, it's
Sounds
been
good.
very interesting.
Let me know.
All right, guys, thank you for your time. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
Thanks, guys.